Just as married people don't spend every waking moment having sex, Christians don't spend their whole lives at the altar receiving the Eucharist. It takes up, in fact, a relatively small share of our time, quite out of proportion to its significance. Meanwhile, there's a whole relationship to be conducted outside those moments of greatest intimacy, which weaves that intimacy into the rest of our life. And the communication through which we conduct this relationship is prayer. There is no specifically Franciscan method of prayer. Unlike many of the masters of prayer throughout the history of the Church, Francis didn't develop or teach a system of prayer techniques for his followers. He seems to have been too busy praying. Instead, it's his general orientation to prayer that Francis is known for. He was a man immersed in the spirit of prayer and holy devotion. Saint Bonaventure, who composed Francis's biography in the years following his death, wrote of the saint's devotion to prayer. He tried to keep his spirit always in the presence of God by praying to him without intermission, so that he might not be without some comfort from his beloved. Whether he was walking or sitting, at home or abroad, whether he was working or resting, he was so fervently devoted to prayer that he seemed to have dedicated to it not only his heart and his soul, but all his efforts and all his time. Francis didn't chronicle his prayer life in the way of Teresa of Avila or Matilda of Magdeburg, so we have little direct knowledge of what passed between him and God when he prayed. But from the observations of his companions, who apparently ignored his orders to stay away when he was praying, we know that when Francis retreated to solitary places to be alone with God, he experienced that presence with a passionate intensity. Francis's spiritual style was deeply contemplative, but for him, contemplation never implied withdrawal from the world or from active service. Because he so profoundly integrated the active and contemplative dimensions, the Franciscan way has been described as contemplative action, in which the fruit of ceaseless prayer is ceaselessly offered to the world. Stare at any bright light long enough, and you'll continue to see that light everywhere you look. It was this that enabled Francis to embrace the lepers he'd once turned from in disgust. He simply went on seeing Christ when he looked at them. The schedule of prayers Francis established for his friars provided generously for both corporate and solitary prayer, both formal liturgy and adoration. For tertiaries in our time, the particulars have changed, but the principle remains, because relationships still take time and work. Just as married couples discuss everything from paying the bills to their common history and their dreams for the future, so tertiaries are expected to share the full spectrum of their lives with God, from their most exalted longings to their most prosaic concerns.